Hi, my name is Miriam, and this is my story. I grew up in a small village, living with my family, my father, mother, and two brothers, Sami, who was 4 years older than me, and Amr, who was 2 years older. I was the youngest in the family, but instead of being pampered like the youngest often are, my life was the hardest among them all. From a young age, I always felt different. My father treated Sami and Amr as if they were treasures, his eyes filled with pride whenever he looked at them. But when he looked at me, his eyes always carried a mix of coldness and disappointment. I would wake up every morning before everyone else to do all the household chores, preparing breakfast, cleaning the house, washing the dishes, while my brothers enjoyed their time, playing or studying without being asked to help. No one ever questioned my exhaustion or sympathized with my fatigue. When I went to school, I felt a little relieved from the burden of home, but school was not much better. I had a speech problem. I would stutter and stumble whenever I tried to speak. This made me an easy target for bullying. The students mocked the way I spoke, and some teachers would sometimes ignore me as if I didn't exist. There was only one girl, named Layla, who tried to get close to me. She would always sit next to me and smile, even when I lowered my head in shame. At home, things weren't any better. Sami and Amr constantly bullied me. They mocked my way of speaking and my appearance, and often tried to get me in trouble with my father. And whenever I tried to defend myself and complain, my father would get angry and hit me, shouting that I was a burden to the family. I didn't understand why they hated me, but as time passed, I started to accept it as if it were normal. Layla was my only refuge. One day, after seeing her warm eyes and feeling her genuine desire to help me, I began to listen to her. She told me about God, about the power of prayer and supplication, and said that God hears us when we sincerely call upon Him. At first, I was hesitant, but something about her words made me feel at peace. I started to pray in my small room, asking God to give me strength and patience. Over time, prayer became my only source of comfort. I began to realize that what I was going through was just a test from God, and that I needed to prove myself and overcome all the difficulties I faced. This realization pushed me to focus more on my studies. I would stay up late, studying hard despite the exhaustion and the tears that would flow without stopping. My grades started to improve, and with every small success, I felt a sense of pride I had never felt before. I tried many times to earn my parents' love, but it was in vain. Nothing changed in the way they treated me, but I was growing stronger day by day. I realized that my worth was not based on their love for me, but on my achievements and what I could do on my own. After years of effort, I finally managed to achieve high grades and gained admission to a good university. That was an accomplishment I never thought possible. After graduation, I got a decent job, and I began to contribute to the household expenses. I hoped this would change my parents' perception of me, but things remained the same. Meanwhile, Sami had married and moved to another country, and Amr went abroad for his studies, leaving my parents behind. As time went by, my mother grew older and her health started to decline. I was the only one left to take care of her, while my father was no longer able to work. I would go to work in the morning and come home in the evening to do all the household chores and take care of my sick mother. Despite everything she had done to me, I couldn't abandon her. Sometimes, she would cry and apologize for her harshness, and I would forgive her because I knew that God loves forgiveness. I called my brothers many times to tell them about our mother's condition, but they always made trivial excuses. I felt sadness for her, especially when she passed away after a long struggle with illness. I decided to build a mosque in her name, hoping that God would forgive her and have mercy on her. I continued to care for my father after my mother's death. Despite his old age, he remained proud of my brothers and treated me the same as before. But I no longer sought his approval as I had in the past. Instead, I sought God's approval. Then, one day, a kind man came and asked for my hand in marriage. I didn't know what to do. I was worried about my father, so I went to him and asked, "Who will take care of you, Father, if I get married?" I felt a huge responsibility toward him. After long consideration, I decided to set a condition for the marriage, that my father would move in with me and my husband. My fiancé agreed to this condition, and we moved into a house together, my husband, my father, and I. Finally, I felt the happiness I had longed for, and that God had rewarded me for my patience. Today, I live a peaceful life with my husband, and I still take care of my father, who has come to realize the value of what I've done for him. In the end, I understood that God does not forget his faithful servants, and that patience truly is the key to relief.
Welcome to my channel. I would love to hear from you what ideas you would like to see in future videos. Are there any specific topics you would like me to talk about? Feel free to leave your suggestions in the comments. I always look forward to providing content that you will enjoy and care about. Thank you for your continued support.